Welcome back to the cryptowrld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, Bitcoin is continuing to play out the massive bearish divergence on the weekly time frame as the price of Bitcoin is now continuing to break to the downside below this very important area of support on the daily time frame, as we've just seen the worst day on record for the BlackRock Bitcoin ETF, with BlackRock now dumping the most amount of Bitcoin that they've ever sold in a single trading day, which I'll talk about in just a moment, while Ethereum is now starting to break below this crucial level of support, while the price of XRP is continuing to play out the massive bearish divergence. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, just before taking a look at the Bitcoin and crypto charts today, we need to take a look at the Bitcoin news today, because we just saw the worst day on record for specifically the BlackRock Bitcoin ETF, with a net outflow from just the BlackRock ETF alone, just on Tuesday alone, of over $500 million, over 523 million US dollars, leaving just the BlackRock Bitcoin ETF on just Tuesday in one single trading day. And now, obviously, as you can see here, due to some other smaller inflows into some other Bitcoin ETFs on Tuesday, overall across all of the spot Bitcoin ETFs, we saw a net outflow of around 372 million US dollars on Tuesday, after around $250 million net outflow on Monday. So overall, sell pressure this week from the Bitcoin ETFs. And once again, so far, the worst day on record for the BlackRock Bitcoin ETF was indeed Tuesday. In other words, BlackRock on Tuesday sold the most amount of Bitcoin in terms of dollar amount, most amount of Bitcoin that they've sold in a single trading day ever, based on this worst day ever for the BlackRock Bitcoin ETF. Because of course, how these ETFs work is they're spot Bitcoin. So basically, these ETF providers like BlackRock, for example, are having to buy Bitcoin if they're having inflows, and essentially sell the Bitcoin holdings to pay out the investors if they're having outflows. So that's basically what they did here on Tuesday, a major outflow, and therefore BlackRock dumping Bitcoin in order to basically pay out that outflow. And so keep this in mind. Fundamentally speaking, on top of what the charts are saying, we have a lot of sell pressure going on at the moment, dumping the price in the short term. And if we're taking a look at the Bitcoin price charts here on the weekly time frame, obviously this super trend indicator over the last week or so has flipped into the red after multiple years of sitting in the green on the weekly Bitcoin price chart. So obviously, as I've already mentioned quite a few times over the last few days or so, this is a significant bearish signal to watch out for, which has already been confirmed now with a weekly candle close that we saw a few days ago. And the last time we saw this signal was at the beginning of the 2022 bear market. The time before that was still, we will do to see at least a couple more months, a few more months worth of bearish price action before seeing any decent bullish price action later on. And so when we consider this signal already confirmed on the weekly Bitcoin price chart alongside this signal, which has already been perfectly playing out over the last 1 to almost 2 months now, 1.5 months, obviously this massive bearish divergence, which is still currently active, still influencing the price of Bitcoin. When we consider these two signals right here, it's extremely likely we're still going to be lacking bullish momentum, showing a lot of weakness, and if anything, gaining bearish momentum, basically pointing towards the bearish direction, at least over the next few weeks or months, possibly longer, but at least over the next 1 or 2 months or so, that sort of time frame. I do expect a lot of weakness, most likely a continued pullback. So in other words, don't expect a massive high momentum movement towards the upside, towards all-time highs, really anytime soon. Yes, here and there we could see short-term bounces in the shorter term on small time frames from time to time, but overall, looking at the bigger picture, expect a lot of weakness at least over the coming weeks or months. And obviously, I've been warning about that every day for over a month now on the channel. You can watch any one of my videos for over the last 1 month, since back around early October onwards. I've been warning about this major pullback coming next. And if we're taking a look at this daily Bitcoin price chart, obviously right now the price of Bitcoin, and already over the last 1 to 2 days, we've been breaking below this important area of support support, the golden pocket area of support, which was sitting in between around 92,500 to 94,000. And so first of all, we did end up seeing a daily candle close very slightly below 92,500, but not really below 92,000. So that was technically a very small confirmation signal, but not a lot of confirmation just the other day, confirming the break towards the downside. But then we came back up, as we could see here with this green candle just the other day. We came back up to retest this area, coming back inside around 92,500 to 94,000 within that area. And then we found resistance in that area. We struggled to get back above that area. We failed to get back above 94,000 and hold above that level, which means ultimately that is now flipping into new resistance, previous support flipping into new resistance, which is bearish price structure. And that is another confirmation signal helping to confirm the break towards the downside and ultimately the continuation of this bearish trend that we've already been in for some time. And so when it comes to a trading strategy right now, of course, over the last 1 or 2 days or so, I've mentioned a short-term trading strategy here on the channel, which is to simply short Bitcoin, bet on bearish price action, not financial advice, no guarantees. But the example of a trading strategy I've shared over the last couple of days here on the channel is if, for example, we come back up to retest this area on the price chart, and then if we fail to get back above that area on the price chart and we see a rejection, then that will be a signal to open a short position. So hopefully, for those of you that were following along with my last couple of videos, hopefully you opened a short position. As always, not financial advice, but let's just say if you did open a short position around 92, 93, 94K, anywhere around there right now, as of recording this video, you should be sitting in some decent profits. That is right, making profits while the price is dumping. You can do that with a short position in case you're new to all of this. But unfortunately, in my personal situation, I was actually on a flight during all of this right here that was happening. So unfortunately, I personally did not take the trade because I was basically offline while this was all happening. But I did share the exact trading strategy over the last 1 to 2 videos. You can watch my last couple of videos talking about this exact scenario, which is now playing out. So hopefully, once again, if you open some sort of short position at roughly around the golden pocket here, you should be sitting in some decent profits. And as always, of course, understand risk management, so stop losses, take profits, all of that. And so once again, not financial advice, but let's just say if I was in this trade, if I shorted at roughly 93,000, let's just say, and currently I'm sitting in some slight profits or decent profits here. Personally, I would have a stop loss at least at my entry now, so that in the worst case scenario for a short position, which would be a quick bounce back up, I'd not necessarily expect that right now, but let's just say if that were to happen, of course, you want to protect yourself in the worst case scenario. So in that situation, I'd have a stop loss at least at around break even. And then as the trade moves further into profits, in the case of a short position, once again, profits is downwards price action, bearish price action. As the trade moves further into profits, I'd move a stop loss slowly further and further into profits as that trade moves lower. Once again, if the price goes lower, a short position continues to make more profits. But at the current state, if I entered at roughly 93K, I would at least right now have a stop loss at my rough entry price. And as for taking profits, it's possible we could find a small amount of support at close to 89,500. But honestly, the next significant support to watch out for is this level right here, sitting at around 85,500. So really in between 85,000 to 86,000 is the next important area of support to watch out for. So just before we reach that point of support right there, in the case of a short position, I'd look to take at least some profits off the table, not necessarily closing the entire trade, but I'll take a small amount of profits off the table, reducing the size of the trade just before we reach 86,000. Once again, not financial advice. That's just sharing a trading strategy that I pretty much always use myself. And obviously, if you've been following that same trading strategy over the last week or so, let's just say, then you should be making some decent profits right now. The moment we break below a key point on the price chart, that's a perfect signal, or especially if we retest a key point and reject from that point, those are perfect signals, not financial advice, but to open short positions, considering right now the momentum, the trend, all pointing bearish. So you might as well go with the trend and profit along the way towards the downside. And unfortunately, in the crypto market, there's a lot of people out there that try to fight the trends that we are in. In other words, if we're in a bearish trend, a lot of people look at these slight little bounces here, and the moment we see a slight little bounce, a lot of people out there think that that is it, that's the bottom, and we've finally bottomed out, we're getting ready for the next major reversal back towards all-time highs. But you have to be adapting to the new trends that we are in. Once again, this was a bullish trend trend back here. This is clearly a bearish trend, and currently we have no confirmed reversal signal to end the bearish trend. So just like how you would potentially buy the dip during this bullish trend or a bull market, obviously right now you'll potentially look for the opposite. Once again, not financial advice, but the opposite to buy the dip would be once we see a slight little bounce or retest of a key level, look for a short position. Once again, not financial advice, but that's just a trading strategy that is profitable in the current trends, the current market that we are in. And so there's always opportunities here in the crypto market, no matter what the price is doing, which I will be sharing here on the channel as always, like I did with this latest trading opportunity, which is now playing out. So make sure you subscribe to the channel with notifications turned on so that you don't miss out on any of these important update videos where I do share trading opportunities from time to time where you can make money from those trading opportunities, hopefully. And once again, I share this information completely for free here on YouTube when a lot of other people out there actually charge for this information. And so if you haven't done so already, this is definitely the time in the market to get set up ready to go on a crypto exchange to take advantage of the next trading opportunity. And personally, I take a lot of my trades over on Pinex, so I'll make sure to leave a link to Pinex below the video in the description and in the pinned comment. And if you use that link, the first link below the video, it'll take you to this page right here where you can take advantage of massive bonuses, deposit bonuses, just simply by making an account, making a deposit using that link. And so for example, if you simply just deposit 100 USDT, you get a 200 USDT bonus into your account. If you deposit 1,000, you get a $600 bonus. If you deposit these larger amounts, you can get up to 40,000 USDT in a trading bonus here. Basically a bonus, free money from Pinex, from the exchange, deposited into your account just by making an account using that link and making a deposit. Once again, there's all these different sizes here and all these different bonuses depending on your deposit. And then if you want to, you can actually use this deposit bonus, use the exchange's money in order to actually go ahead and trade Bitcoin over on Pinex. So you can copy one of these Bitcoin futures grid bots right here if you want to, using not even your money, the exchange's money, once again, which you can claim using the first link below the video just by making an account and making deposits. But if you want a no KYC exchange to trade Bitcoin or any other crypto that I personally use myself, I'll make sure to leave a link to 2bits below the video in the description and in the pinned comment. It'll be the second link below the video, and that link will take you to this page right here where you can also take advantage of some massive bonuses just by simply making an account and making a deposit, making a trade using the link below the video. You can get up to 10,000 USDT in trial fund bonuses and 8,000 USDT in actual withdrawable stablecoins from the exchange, free money from the exchange just by depositing and trading crypto, but without making any deposit or any trade, just by simply making an account. It takes 30 seconds to do this using that second link below the video to 2bit. You can get a free $30 sign up bonus and 1 month free VIP 3 upgrade. So basically very cheap trading fees over on 2bit and essentially free money from the exchange just by simply making an account using that link. So once again, if you're going to be trading crypto anyway or preparing to take the next trading opportunity, you might as well get set up ready to go using these links below the video to take advantage of these major bonuses here. And once again, in case you're wondering, 2bit is a no KYC exchange. But with that being said, taking a quick look at the short-term Bitcoin price action here on the 6-hour time frame, obviously over the last 1 day, close to a day ago, we did hit oversold again in the 6-hour Bitcoin RSI. Kind of like a few days ago, we hit oversold back here, but an oversold signal, as I always say, is not a bottom signal. It doesn't mean we've hit the bottom and the end of the bearish trend. It's just a short-term signal telling us we've gone a little bit too far to the downside too quickly, and we might be due to see maybe a slight little bounce, maybe a bit of sideways price action, just to reset the RSI a little bit out of oversold, which can give us more room towards the downside later on. So that's basically what happened over the last 1 day or so. We hit oversold with that latest drop just here, saw a slight little bounce, which was ultimately retesting this golden pocket. And then, like I just said earlier, we failed to get back above the golden pocket, failed to break out back above 94,000, ultimately flipping this previous support into new resistance, which is bearish price structure, further confirming the break to the downside. And while we were seeing that retest, of course, that helped to reset the RSI back up towards more neutral levels, which is now giving us more room towards the downside again. As we can see, as of recording this video, we've not yet hit oversold anymore. We're out of oversold, which means we now have more room towards the downside before we hit oversold again. And so this is how the price usually moves. Obviously, it's not in a straight line down. We see little bounces and things like that along the way, but don't be fooled by those bounces. That's just simply short-term signals playing out, like oversold signals running into support, etc. overall, in terms of the trend, the momentum, the price structure, we're still looking very weak, still looking quite bearish if we're talking about the coming weeks or months. And if we're taking a quick look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, obviously a few days ago already, we wiped out this exact level of liquidity that was sitting at around 89,000. But right now, we still have a little bit of liquidity at just above 88,000, around 88.2K to 88.3K. And the next major point of liquidity to watch out for on this chart right here is sitting at around 83,500. So keep that in mind. Those are potential price targets to watch out for. But before we could hit, for example, 83,500, as I said earlier, we have this point of support here in between roughly 85 to 86,000. So those are the next major targets that I am currently watching for the price of Bitcoin in the coming hours or days. At the current rate, we could hit those prices quite soon. And if we're taking a look at the Bitcoin dominance chart on the daily time frame, right now, overall, the Bitcoin dominance is still in this slight little correction, slight little pullback, not necessarily having a huge crash like this, not necessarily having an altcoin season. Obviously, an altcoin season is when we have a huge crash in the Bitcoin dominance. And ideally, that's happening while the price of Bitcoin is actually holding up relatively well. But the current market, obviously, the price of Bitcoin is not holding up well at all, which means even if we see a bit of a dump in the Bitcoin dominance, a lot of altcoins will still likely be dumping against the US dollar. It just means a lot of altcoins on average might be holding up a little bit better than what Bitcoin is doing. But overall, considering the massive weakness that we are seeing right now in the price of Bitcoin, don't expect major pumps or anything like that for the altcoin market. It is quite likely that a lot of altcoins will play out something similar to what Bitcoin is doing right now, even despite this slight pullback in the Bitcoin dominance. This is not really enough of a pullback to trigger any sort of altcoin season or anything like that. So overall, things are still looking more bearish than bullish for most of the crypto market right now. And if we're taking a look at Ethereum on the daily time frame, of course, the price of ETH is also following Bitcoin with a potential break towards the downside here, but we've not yet fully confirmed a daily candle close well below this point of support, which is sitting at around 30.50. So really in between around 3,000 to 3.1K is the area of support that I've been watching for some time. But right now, as of recording the video, the price is obviously already trading below 3,000 as of recording this video. We've just not yet actually confirmed a daily candle close below 3,000. So we're still waiting for that confirmation signal, but at the current rate, how things are looking, and especially if Bitcoin continues this pullback, it is quite likely Ethereum could soon confirm the break below 3,000. And if that's the situation, then of course we could possibly flip that previous area of support into new resistance. And the next major point of support towards the downside to watch out for would be sitting in between roughly 2.6K to 2.7K. And clearly the larger trends, the larger price structure that we've already been in for quite some time now, for multiple months, is still currently bearish. So whether or not we see any sort of short-term bullish price action, just remember the larger trend still currently bearish for the price of ETH. And if we're taking a look at the daily Ethereum price chart, really the only possible hope for Ethereum in the short term to just have a bit of a relief from all of the bearish price action is this possible bullish divergence, which is still currently forming, but I want to make this clear, it is not yet confirmed. Obviously, over the last few days, I have been talking about this possible bullish divergence because it has technically been forming, but the entire time I've been saying, pay attention to this, it is not currently confirmed because we've not yet fully confirmed the higher low in place in the daily Ethereum RSI. We ideally need to see a decent bounce like this actually confirm with ideally a couple of candle closes confirming in the green in order to confirm the higher low in place in the RSI to be a little bit more confident in the bullish divergence actually starting to play out. So overall, we still have lower lows forming in the price. In fact, lower lows already confirmed in the price in the candle closes, but higher lows just currently forming, not yet fully confirmed in the daily Ethereum RSI. So if we see some sort of slight little bounce very, very soon, as in within the next one day, it's possible we could soon confirm this bullish divergence right here. And in that situation, maybe we see just a sideways consolidation, maybe a slight bullish relief. But even if this confirms, don't expect a massive reversal out of the trend. Obviously, a bullish divergence is usually not a reversal signal. A lot of the time, it can just result in a short-term relief, a bit of a break from all of the bearish price action in the shorter term before ultimately continuing the bearish trend later on, like what we saw last time. And so that would be the outcome that I would expect if this first confirms. But once again, considering the fact that it's not yet fully confirmed and considering the fact that we're potentially now breaking below this key point of support, overall things are simply looking more bearish than bullish, especially based on what Bitcoin is doing. Obviously, Bitcoin really leads the market. So if Bitcoin is looking like this, don't expect a lot of altcoins to be bullish. Obviously, right now, this is still the situation for Ethereum. And if we're taking a look at the price of Solana on the 2-day time frame, over the last couple of days or so, the price of Solana actually retested this important area of previous support, which is now perfectly acting as new resistance. We've seen multiple perfect rejections from this exact area on the price chart, sitting in between 143 to 147. So continue to expect a lot of resistance in that area. And now that we're rejecting from that area, obviously that is bearish price structure, further confirming the break towards the downside, ultimately continuing the larger bearish trends that we've already been in for months now, as I've been saying for a long time now on the channel. And ultimately the next major point of support to watch out for is at roughly 124 to 127. So that is the next area of support to watch out for. And if we break below $124, it's quite possible we could retrace all the way back down towards close to $100, around $105, give or take, would be the next potential significant point of support. But obviously in the immediate short term, we still have this area in between 124 to 127. And as for resistance, in case we see any sort of bounce again, once again, expect a lot of resistance in between 143 to 147. And considering that the price structure, trend, and momentum still currently bearish, overall expect more bearish price action than bullish price action. Once again, we can see the occasional short-term bounce here and there. Like if we run into a point of support, for example, it's possible we could bounce from that point, but that's just a short-term move within a larger bearish trend. That is still the current situation for Solana. And if we're taking a look at the price of XRP on the weekly time frame, XRP is still playing out the massive bearish divergence on the weekly time frames, and not much has changed over the last one day. This is still influencing the price of XRP, causing a lot of weakness, lacking bullish momentum, ultimately causing and helping to cause a larger pullback, which has been playing out for months. And so hopefully some of you out there that watched my videos back at the end of July, early August, actually heard my warnings about this massive multi-month pullback coming soon. Because yes, in case you're new to the channel, you can even watch my videos back then. They're still all there. Watch my videos back at the end of July, early August. Back then, I did call about this major pullback coming very soon over the next couple of months, a multi-month significant pullback that I warned about back here at almost all-time highs. And so now that this is playing out as predicted, what I continue to predict is for this to continue to play out. That is right, it's not over yet. This is likely going to continue at least over the coming weeks, possibly the next few months could be more of this type of price action. So keep that in mind, understand the market that we are in right now. And if we're taking a look at the daily XRP price chart, it's still possible that we are forming a bullish divergence, but I want to make this clear, it is not currently confirmed. So obviously we have effectively just confirmed lower lows in the price in the candle closes, and we're still currently starting to make another lower low in the price. But in terms of the higher lows in the RSI, it is currently forming, but not yet actually confirmed this new higher low in place in the daily XRP RSI. And so in order for this to confirm, we need to see a decent bounce very soon in the daily XRP RSI, while the RSI is still above this previous low that we set back around 4th of November. And if we see some sort of decent bounce very soon like that in the RSI to actually confirm the higher low in place in the RSI, then that will finally confirm the new bullish divergence, effectively extending the previous bullish divergence, which could play out in the form of maybe some choppy sideways price action, maybe a slight bullish relief, kind of like what we saw last time for roughly a week, give or take, just a shorter term signal during the larger bearish trends. But that is if this confirms. Once again, not currently confirmed. I want to make that clear. So overall, things are still simply more bearish than bullish. And as for support to watch out for, we're just about right now, as of recording this video, we're just about testing this important point of support, sitting at around $2.05 to $2.07. But if we break below $2.05, it's possible at roughly around $2, we could find some support there based on that psychological level of $2. But if we start breaking below $2 per XRP, especially if we confirm a daily candle close below $2, and especially if we fail to to get back above this area on the price chart, it's quite possible we could drop down towards around $1.80. If we break below that, then expect to move down towards $1.60. That is right. We could drop well into the mid-dollar range in between $1 to $2 if we start breaking below this immediate support that we're pretty much running into right now as of recording this video. But if you're listening to what I just said and you're thinking that it's all doom and gloom and everything's over and there's no way anyone can make money right now because everything's just crashing, obviously you have to be changing your mindset, because if you're actually trading with the trend, for example, if you're having a short position, once we, for example, break below a key point on the price chart, if we break below roughly $2 or $2.05 and show a lot more bearish momentum, for example, if you're shorting that next move towards the downside, not financial advice, but that is a way to make profits during the bearish price action. If you're in a short position, or if you're just a spot trader, of course, you could just sit and wait for some lower prices to accumulate at some lower prices later on at some point. As always, not financial advice, but that's just simply pointing out ways to still profit and take advantage of the current market that we are in, even while a bunch of other people out there are losing money. So once again, don't fight the trend, understand the trends that we are in and work with the trend to make profits. And if we're taking a look at the price of Chainlink on the daily time frame, it's a very similar situation for Chainlink, still clearly within a larger bearish trend, larger bearish price structure, picking up bearish momentum, but we are possibly forming, I want to make that clear, not confirmed, but possibly forming a new bullish divergence. We already have a lower lows confirmed in the price in the candle closes, and we're possibly forming a slight little higher low in the daily Chainlink RSI. But I want to make this clear, we've not yet confirmed the higher low in place in the daily Chainlink RSI. In order for that to confirm, we need to see some sort of decent bounce confirmed like this in the next 1 or 2 days to actually confirm the higher low, and then therefore confirming the bullish divergence, or essentially extending the previous bullish divergence. And even if that were to actually confirm, I would only expect just a short-term relief from all of the bearish price action. So maybe a sideways consolidation, maybe a slight bullish relief like this, but don't expect significant bullish momentum. Don't expect the end of the trend based on the bullish divergence by itself, but that's only if it were to confirm. Once again, right now, it's not even confirmed at all, which means overall we are simply bearish. Of course, from time to time, we can see little bounces here and there, but don't be fooled by those short-term bounces. The larger trend, the larger momentum is still clearly bearish. And as for support and resistance to watch out for, we are pretty much, as I recorded in this video, breaking below an important point of support, which was sitting at roughly just above $13, give or take. So especially if we confirm this daily candle close well below $13, and especially if we fail to get back above $13 over the next few hours or days, in that situation, we could quite honestly see a drop down towards roughly $11 or around $11.50 as the next potential point of support to watch out for. But remember, you can take advantage of these trading opportunities using things like short positions, for example, to profit along the way towards the downside. Not financial advice, but if you're doing that, once again, check out the links below the video to those exchanges if you want to take advantage of those major bonuses that are only available using those links. And if you want to actually know how you can trade crypto no matter what the price is doing, to profit no matter what the price is doing, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions, and the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.